In today's session, we will discuss about the S2 database connectivity with your Spring Boot application. So till now, what we have done, actually, we just created the project in the Spring Boot. We have done some type of configuration that was required to implement some business logic in the Spring Boot application. Later on, I have added some annotations to use the web services, right? And we have already implemented the business logic without using the database connection. So now it's time to implement the database connectivity in your Spring Boot. So what type of configuration you required, right? So that you can connect your Spring Boot application with any type of database. So here I'm taking the example of the S2 database. So S2 database is what? It's a pre-configured database in the Spring Boot application. You don't need to install it separately in your system like the MySQL or any other like Oracle database. So it is available without the installation in your system. So it is pre-configured with your Spring Boot application, right? So because it is already written in the Java programming, so it is being very compatible with your Spring Boot application, like your MySQL or Oracle database. It's a lightweight and fast, and I already told you it's amenable. So it is ideal choice, you can say, for the development and specifically for the testing purpose. I'm using the word testing purpose because before going to the actual database connectivity, you should test your business logic with the S2 database because you are using the Spring Boot application. It is a pre-configured lots of the things. So changing from one database to another database, it will not be the complex task in the Spring Boot application development. So let's discuss how you can configure in your Spring Boot application, right? So first, you need to do one thing in your application. You just need to add the dependency in your form.xml file, right? So already I told you that how you can do that, means how you can configure the H database connectivity. Let me again telling you. So go to the H2 database Maven dependency is a website, official website. Just click on this and you can see the many versions are available for the H2 database, right? So do one thing. You see, vulnerabilities are also being added there. So we need to focus non-vulnerable version we need to take. So I'm just using the 2.2 and just copy, go to your project. So if you have taken any project, so that's the form.xml. Just go to the dependencies folder. I mean, the dependencies tag here, like this one, dependencies. Just paste your S2 database dependencies there, right, like this. So if you paste it there, you can see the differences actually. I'm using the com.group ID is the S2 database, com.S2 database, artifact is S2, and this is the version and the scope. So you need to do one thing, you just remove this version and the scope. Instead, you need to, instead of the task of the scope, you need to write the runtime in the scope, right? So right? So do one thing, just copy and paste in this pom.xml and see. You need to use the pom.h2 database, artifact ID is h2, and scope you need to update. Here you need to write the runtime, right? So this is the configuration part. You also need to do one thing. This is the uh, dependency you have already added. Now go to the resource, src main resources. Here you will get the application.properties if you are using the Maven build. So here just open it, and any database you are using, you need to configure, you need to write the URL, the driver, everything here inside the application.properties file. So here, right. So one step you have already done. You have already added the h2 database in your pom.xml file, and you can use this website, right, and copy and paste. Another step two is the modifying your application.properties file. So here I just want to discuss something because it is very important, right? So this is the server.port. I have already discussed it. If you want to change the port number of your application, you can write the server.port. So your application, your Tomcat server will be deployed on the specific port like this. This is the configuration of your uh, database, like we are using the SQL database. So you need to use some type of properties here, right? The URL string.data source dot URL. So this is your database you are specifying there. JDBC colon S2 MAM, or this is the test DB. This is the name of your schema. Okay. And this is the username, uh, and the password is the password itself. And dialect, you have listened, if you have listened about the dialect, because when you are using the Hibernate for as an ORM tool, so you need to use a dialect for the specific database. So every database have their own dialect, so you can use. And this is the console part, right? The console part, you want to see the database screen, or you can see the initialize part on the browser itself. So you need to enable true so that uh, you can get the console output of your database, right? I will show you in the next step. And this is the path of your database where it will be available when we test our application, right? So let me show you the way when you run your application, you have configured the database, you have added the dependency of the database. Now it's time to test your database connectivity is being added or not. So let me see. This is the step three, means for you for the testing purpose. You need to run your Spring Boot application. We have already done the way how to run the application of the Spring Boot. So you need to focus basically this particular line in your console. So H2 console available at the slash. This is the endpoint where your H2 database will be available, right? And this is the URL. You need to use this URL while you are connecting your database. So here is a screenshot when you go to your server port, like this is the 9992, my server port on which my application is running. And this is the endpoint of the H2 console. We have already worked on the endpoint, how we can create. So this is the H2 console endpoint is being available to show the uh, UI of your H2 database, right? So here you can see this is the H2 database you're using. It is already being embedded, generic we are using, right? And And this is the driver class org.h2.driver we have already used in our properties file. And the URL, right? URL, this will match with this. So if it is not matched anyhow, so you need to just copy it from your console and paste here in the JDBC URL. SA is the username, and you can remain blank. You can leave it blank and just click on the connect button. So your application will directly connect with your database. So let me see the demo of this using the uh, this particular connectivity. So this is my application, right? I have created this application specifically using the database connectivity and apply the CRUD operation. So let me just focus on the part I've already told about the form.xml file, and this is the configuration we have already discussed it. So this is my main application, right? This is the main class. So here I'm using it. Just run this application. Is being started. So see, the application is running mode. So application is running mode, right? So let me analyze the console part. So Apache Tomcat is running on the port 9991. So and I'm using, yeah, this particular console I'm looking for. The S2 console, your database is available at the slash, and this is the URL we should concentrate, right? So I'm just using the uh, let's say I'm using the browser, and let me try and H2 console I want to access. Yeah. So let me check why it is not being available. H2 console, localhost 9990. So let's see. Yeah. Oh, okay. 9991 actually. This is my port number. So let me change the port number here and try again. So let me change this particular port number. So yeah, this is the console I was looking for. Okay. So just, yeah, you can see the same what we have discussed in the slide. So just click on this connect. So you can see this is the UI of your S2 database, right? So this is the URL of your connected database on which you have create the connection with your application. So this is the way to open the console of your S2 database on the browser so that you can check the connectivity. So your application is already connected with your S2 database. So let's see how you can apply the CRUD operation in the next slide. So let's see in the next session how you can connect this particular, and it is already being connected with the database, right? So we need to apply the CRUD operation now because application is already being connected with the database. We have already checked it, and now it's time to apply some business logic. We have already done. The business logic is now being uh, connect with the persistence layer. Persistence layer means I'm talking about the database layer. So let me see. in the next slide. Thank you.